Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's BookWidgets webinar, Formative and Summative Evaluation. My name's Kate Baker. I'm an EdTech specialist here at BookWidgets, and I'm excited to take you through today's webinar. For those of you who are new to BookWidgets, BookWidgets is a content creation and evaluation tool for teachers to support their students' learning process from beginning to end. We have a widget library comprised of 40 different widget types and over 35 question types that can be included in those widgets. We are integrated into various learning management systems so that you can also monitor student progress and get some insights into their learning with a reporting dashboard. So bookwidgets.com is a great place to go to access and make your students' thinking visible. On the agenda for today's workshop, we're going to take a look at formative evaluation, some methods, examples, and options inside of BookWidgets. We'll also dig into summative evaluation and review the correction options and the reporting dashboard. All right, here we go. Formative evaluation. So formative assessment is an ongoing process of gathering information about your students' achievements, their strengths and weaknesses at any point in their learning process. So this is all about feedback and understanding what is going on with them so that you can help to guide the instruction moving forward and help to guide their performance. So guidance, evaluation, and feedback are all important parts of this. It's not just about the grade, it is about understanding their skill set and, formative, kind of thinking like clay, molding them to get them through the learning cycles. So with formative evaluation, you have so many different methods that you could choose from. You could do an exit ticket, you could do a self-assessment, the ongoing work of worksheets and even quick quizzes to check their understanding, playing games, doing a good old pop quiz, diagnostic tests, portfolios, peer assessments, and just good old observation. All of this is part of that formative assessment piece. So for BookWidgets, let's take a look at a few examples, and we're going to kick it off at the end with exit tickets. So this is a great tool to know immediately where your students stand in relation to your lesson. So kind of working from the end backwards here with this. Exit tickets are a great way to see at the very end of your lesson or the section of a lesson to see, like, did they accurately acquire that knowledge? Now in BookWidgets, some of the options that you're going to want to enable or disable include: you want to have students may submit should be on, because that's how you're going to collect that data and see how what their performance is. You want to turn off showing answers when the widget is done, because you don't necessarily want them to turn and share the work and be able to reveal answers to their classmates. But you also want to make sure that you're analyzing the results so that you can use them in the next lesson. And then once you've analyzed the results, you can always then release those results also to your students so that they can see where they are in the learning cycle. So let's take a look at a few examples. So this first one is the exit ticket widget. And the exit ticket widget makes exit tickets really easy for you because you have a question that's that you can, it's already populated for you, but you can edit it so that it is content specific. But the answer choice is always going to remain the same, that it's either a frowny face, a neutral face, or a smiley face. So you're getting, the negative, neutral, and positive. And then question 2 is always a fill-in response where students can type in and add more information. So with just 2 questions, you can quickly get the pulse of your students' understanding. Now, if you want to do something a little bit more involved beyond an exit ticket widget, you can also do a worksheet. So this is one that I've designed as an exit ticket. And this one's a little bit more involved, and you can see I'm using some of the design features too that are enabled in BookWidgets. So I've asked students for their name. I want to know how are they feeling at the end of class today, picking one of these emojis. And then I asked them for question 3, how did you do with learning new skills and content, creating or working independently, collaborating with others, sharing what you know with others, asking for assistance when needed. And then this table question, the students would be able to select an emoji that would align with their reflection on how well they think they did with these types of tasks. Now, then I want to know about the specifics of how well did they do the actual tasks in class? Did they complete them? So question 4 is also a table question. Did you accomplish today's tasks? And we have the green check mark for yes, I completed it. The caution symbol may be meaning that it's incomplete or needs to have some additional, time to complete it. And then the, red symbol here, the stop, to say that like, well, no, I didn't finish it at all. And this again would give me a clear signal on where my students at with completing the tasks from class that day, and to know if I need to check in with them or to give them more time. And then question 5 is that open-ended response here where they can type in and give me some additional information. So by using the design features of color and incorporating the emojis, trying to reach the students in a way that they would feel comfortable. Let's take a look at another exit ticket. This is the whiteboard. And this one's a little fun. So on this particular one, we have a background image, which is an Instagram looking type of post. So we get this kind of frame, and that the students can draw something in the space here from today's lesson. And then they can also type up a caption in the space using the tools below to show what they know from today's lesson. So this is great because you're tapping into some different modalities and doing a fun exit ticket that, again, meets them where they're comfortable at, because I'm sure many students are familiar with Instagram. And let's not forget one of our newest widgets, the video quiz. You could totally use this for an exit ticket as well. So they can watch the video, and you would want to keep this video short. You didn't want to do a full 30-minute length video, so a short video. And then if you notice here, the teacher has included some additional directions that this activity will not be graded, but you can see if you understand the division rules, and they can go on and continue the video.
With Mr. J.
And I'm just going to pause the video and jump down here to one of the questions at the very end. And you'll see here at the end of that video, after they've watched that short one to review the concepts in class, now they can complete these various tasks to demonstrate that they know. And here again, we have one of those emoji style questions, but if you notice for this one, it's a picture multiple choice. And then we also have a rubric question type that's included here for students to self-assess and indicate their level of understanding. Then they can submit it, and then the teacher has lots of data to be able to review. And that will guide the instruction for the next class period. We have over 60 ready to use exit tickets. So at the conclusion of the webinar, for those of you that have attended live, you'll get the link to the slides, and you'll be able to go exploring and see all the ones that we have for you. And this one, let me just show you real fast what this one is, because that link will take you to a group inside of BookWidgets. And the group has all of these folders of exit tickets. So there are so many to go exploring: worksheets, whiteboards, you name it, even a mind map. You have lots and lots of exit tickets right at your fingertips to play with. All right, let's move on to our next formative assessment, and this one would be a self-assessment. So you're asking students to think reflectively about their learning process so that they can think about their own strengths and weaknesses and then act on them. Again, you want to be able to have students submit answers to you so that you can take a look at these and have that data to refer to. You would also want to turn off show answers when quiz is done, and allow students to edit answers is on, and then the students would return to that widget later again. And you can also use the rubric question for these. And we have a couple of videos linked here that would be able to take you to learning more about the rubric. So let's take a look at two examples on the worksheet. Here you can see that rubric question. So the students would go through and would click on the areas that they feel, as they think reflectively about what they're doing. And then the teacher will be able to see this and also be able to make some notations about whether or not the teacher agrees with the student's self-assessment. And then they can hit submit to send it off. And you'll notice with all of these that we have the green box up in the corner here, make a copy in mine account. So as you're accessing any of these widgets from the slides, you can make a copy and edit it as needed. Let's take a look at a whiteboard. So here we have a whiteboard, stop, slow, we're ready to go. Color the traffic light. So they can color code the traffic light with how they're feeling and then explain their choice in the box below. So again, they have the tools down here below to be able to use. They can, change the colors and even access the text box to add it to the space on the whiteboard here. So they don't have to draw their letters out using their mouse or stylus. And also as a bonus, we have the emoji self-assessment mood meter selfie. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So here we have a self-assessment and evaluation in history. So this is great because it's breaking down some of the pieces. Students can select, an emoji to represent how they're feeling about each one of these components. So again, you're capturing data that aligns with their sentimentality. Students love emoji, so we're kind of talking their language and letting them talk to us in their language with this. Okay, so that's a great one to go check out. So self-assessment, again, it's really important about empowering students to identify their own strengths and weaknesses. And you want to guide them through that process and you want the students to own it, but you also want to direct their attention to what specific skills and areas you want them to self-assess. All right, let's take a look at some worksheet and quizzes. So of course, for practicing the skills that they've been learning, and so that you, the teacher, can provide feedback on their performance. Your options with these, you always want to make sure, again, that students may submit is turned on so that you can take a look at their answers. Show answers, correct and wrong answers when the quiz is done. This will be on this time because you do want them to see if they've been accurate or not. Adding explanations to questions with auto-correction will save you lots of time because you do not need to manually go through every single student's submission. You can let BookWidgets lift some of that load for you. So you have, pairing the auto-scored questions with an added explanation will help students to understand why they got a question correct or not. You also want to play around with some of the different correction options as fit the needs of your classroom space. Score per question is off because you don't necessarily want students to be so focused on the grade and the score. You do want them to know if they've gotten the material correct or not, but the points in this case aren't really relevant because you want them, again, to focus on the information and if they've accurately acquired it. You can also choose which feedback configuration to send back. So what are the specific components in the reporting dashboard? We'll show that to you in a bit to take a look at how you can customize that feedback and what students will receive. All right, so let's take a look at a few examples. So here we have a quiz. So for this particular quiz, remember, quizzes and worksheets are essentially the same. It's just that quizzes will release one question at a time for you to the students, whereas a worksheet is a long scroll. So students can take a look and answer, in this case, just one question, and then hit the ready button to submit. Let's take a look at a worksheet. So here on this particular worksheet, we have annotate picture where students can type in the name of the capital of each country. Then you have a matching with an audio and image. So they would have to listen to the clip.
Belgium.
And then be able to match it to the item listed there. You have and then a multiple choice question right there. And then you can do show score. So this is a great way to let students know if they've accurately acquired the information or not in the moment. Let's pop over here to a split worksheet. So split worksheets are great because you can put material for them to reference on one side, and it could be on the left or the right as you configure the widget accordingly. And then students can use that center bar to drag it back and forth to make either the questions bigger or the material on the side bigger. So here we have this particular story. So students can read through it. And then as they're reading, they can be answering the different questions that are here on the side. What I love about this is that, students don't have to jump back and forth between tabs. They can just scroll down through on either side to get to the questions or the text accordingly. And again, you'll notice the button here says show answers instead of submit, because again, we're doing a formative assessment. So as you configure your widgets and you use those design features, if you have them enabled in your account, you can, update those buttons so that, again, you're meeting the students where they're at. And, seeing show answers as the button is a lot less stressful in a formative assessment than like submit for a final score. All right, let's take a look at a video quiz. So here we have this particular video quiz. We begin with a text question that has, some additional instructions for the students. They can click the button to continue to the video. I'm going to use the arrow here, though, to go to the set of questions that are being asked. And then you can see here we have 2 questions that are stacked in this particular point in the video. We continue on to video.
Membranes. Only plant cells have a...
And then when we go to the next question point, so I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here for you. Now you can see here's another question, continue to video. So this flipped lesson is great for giving students, checking their understanding and also saving you time lecturing by having them engage with a video. Okay. So we also have a bonus worksheet with all question types. So I've said it before, we have 36 different question types. And if you're wondering what they all are, well, this animals worksheet has every single question type you could want in BookWidgets. So this is a great one, even if animals isn't necessarily your subject area. What I love about this is that you get an idea of what are the capabilities for this. You can even see, when we've enabled showing the hint on a particular question, what does that look like? And you can get a feel for every single question to know what are the possibilities for you and how you could customize this and every widget for your own students. There's so many possibilities: photo questions, word ordering. When we talk about formative assessment, to be able to have all of these options, you absolutely can make your students' thinking visible with this array. And even auditory. So having your students record their voices to talk through what they're thinking is really powerful as well for formative assessment. Okay, I could keep scrolling, but I'm going to let you go exploring on your own. All right. And let's not forget the work that we are doing. It is always important to make it fun and engaging. And what better way to do that than with educational games? So games are great for practicing different skills and providing immediate feedback. So for this, these types of activities, the options that you want to enable in BookWidgets, you want to have live widgets monitoring is on so that you can see them in real time as they are working. And we're going to take a look at what that looks like in just a bit. I'm going to get you folks all working who are in the audience. You can add reward words for your games, and that reward word, that when they complete the game, they finish the puzzle, it will ask them a question for reflection. So you could enable the question or provide an audio message for them to listen to. So the reward doesn't just have to be a congratulations or good job. You can actually use it to continue the learning after the game is concluded. You do want to allow for auto correction, and then think about out of the box style games. You can create escape rooms and some hotspot games, kind of hidden images with Easter eggs. Let's take a look at a few examples. So here's a hotspot. Now what the teacher has done here is created their own background image. So they've created this image that is serving as the game board. And this Easter Bunny themed game, the students would, click on each one of these. They would roll the dice. So here we have an embedded randomness widget where they could spin to roll the dice. 5. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click on this part of the game board, and now it pops out to another widget. And this one is a spot the difference, where now students can play, it's kind of a game inside of a game to spot the difference. And you can see how this can be pretty engaging and also pretty involved. But you can make your games as simple or as complex as needed. I love doing the hotspot and pairing it with a background image. And you could create your images in Google Slides. You could hand draw them like this one is here. You could also use Canva as another tool to create those images and then upload it into BookWidgets and create your hotspots. Let's take a look at a web quest. So this particular web quest is solving a Halloween mystery. So you have the, tasks where you need to read. You can do a before and after image. Ooh, geez, that's a bit morbid. And then as you scroll through the pages, you can click on each of the items, the tabs below, to have them access, again, widgets inside of widgets, where they can, engage and kind of, do the investigation. This one's pretty involved, despite the morbid topic. We get a jigsaw puzzle within there, some math games. And then, once the reward word has been revealed, that's their password to unlock and see that they got their inspector badge. So web quests are great for like creating breakout rooms and doing kind of that more involved role playing in a way type of game. Let's take a look at this one. So here we have pair matching. So we're doing images with words. So matching them up, and then you can see that when you make a match, you get it's color coded, but then also a symbol in the bottom corner here to let your visually impaired students or colorblind students know, that they've also made the match. Okay, so you can see how that works there. So that's a fun little game to learn more. Let's take a look at a word search. Look for 8 separation techniques. Can you explain them as well? So as you do the word search, as they would just highlight the text. And then you can see once they get a word, it color codes and hangs there. And this is a great way that you're being multimodal too, that you have students kind of activating their brains in this game-like way. But then the question here, they don't necessarily need their screen to be able to conduct a conversation. They can turn to their classmate and, turn to their neighbor to talk about the items that they found in the word search. It's a great conversation starter. Right, let's take a look at a crossword. So crosswords are great also that you can move these, clue boxes around, to fit your needs. And then when you want to solve it, when you click on either the clue, it'll highlight it for you on the puzzle itself. And then if you go the other way, let's say you click on the puzzle, it will then highlight the corresponding clue. So that's really useful. And let's take a look at a memory game is another one that you could use with your students. So this one, you'd have to click on the different tiles. Oh, I got lucky on that one. Oh, that was Picasso. Nope. Hold on. There we go. No. Van Gogh. But this is a great way not only to test their, understanding of that. One, can they recognize these things, these artists and their paintings? But then two, can they even discuss it after the fact? So again, thinking about your games is a great way to check their understanding and can also be multimodal. That not only are they working in their screens, but also communicating with their classmates. Okay, now pop quizzes. Now I know some students may obviously not like to do a pop quiz if they're caught out, not knowing the material, but this can be really useful for reinforcing that your students are doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. But it's also helpful for you to collect snapshot pieces of data that you can use for future lessons, for differentiating, and for planning. So again, this isn't about like, aha, I got you. And, if you've done really well, your grade's going to go up because you're rewarded. And if you've been slacking, your grade's going to drop. It's not about the grade in the grade book. It is about the data that reveals whether or not a student has understood the material. So I know a lot of there are going to be some emotions with pop quizzes, some negative associations. But when you use them to help guide your instruction, then they can be very valuable tools. So for pop quizzes, your options in BookWidgets, you want to, of course, again, allow students to submit answers because, again, you need that data. You want to show answers to students after submitting. Yeah, let them see what they got right or wrong because it's going to give them that formative understanding. And then learn from your statistics. Take a look at what areas, whole class, did this whole class get a specific question right or wrong? And then if the majority of the class got a question wrong, well, then either to go double check how that question was written, but then also maybe look at, okay, well, maybe that's something that you need to teach further before you move on to the next section of your lesson. So let's take a look at a few different pop quiz examples. So here we have a quiz widget. So students, again, will get one question at a time in a quiz. So you can see that they can select which they want. And then immediately I got the answer here. And the feedback for me to let me know why I got this wrong, and this explanation that's provided in the moment helps to guide my understanding. I can hit continue. And then if I want to see how many questions there are, this is just, look at this, a very short pop quiz. Okay, so now it gives us some additional information, can hit continue. And then you can see, yep, I got the confirmation that this is correct. And then again, that information that helps me to understand what I'm learning in the moment. All right, let's take a look at a worksheet, pop quiz. So here we have, for this particular worksheet, students will be giving directions. So this is a little bit of fun. You know, it doesn't quite feel like a quiz as they click on the red button to record their instructions and, you know, can demonstrate that they understand what to do. So again, you're giving them a task in the moment to make sure that they are accurately acquiring the information and skills that you are teaching to them. And how about that video quiz? Can also be used for a pop quiz. So here we have a video that begins with a text question. We can continue to video. And I'm just going to pause the video and instead click on one of the question points. So you can see here, the students can go through and answer the questions. And they can select. They can even use the whiteboard to solve. And if you notice up in the top corner here, we have a calculator. So that's if students realize they need a little bit extra help, they can click on that and then also make it disappear. So that's one of the options to be able to enable in a worksheet. And in quizzes, and then here we have audio response. The matching, again, I'm seeing right away that I'm getting things correct or not, which is really useful for, again, guiding my understanding. Okay. And I can say, oh, I didn't get this one right. Yay, there we go. Okay, let's continue on. For diagnostic tests, these are great to do at the beginning of your lesson sequence so that you can understand what your students know or don't know. You can also understand the level, you know, what's their starting point when it comes to this particular material. So again, for options, have your students submit their answers are on, and you want to learn from your statistics in that reporting dashboard so that you can, again, guide your instruction for the future. So again, thinking of this analogy of clay, not only are you molding the students, it's also you're molding your instruction and determining what pathways and what's the final shape of your instruction going to be. You want to return correct answers and feedback without grades, because again, this is to determine if the students know the individual questions, the information or not. It's not about the grade that's on the paper. So let's take a look at a few examples. The quiz. So here we have this one. We have an audio message to play. And then the students would navigate to one question at a time. You know, we have some links that are embedded in. But this gives them some great formative information and to know what they know and don't know already about this particular topic. Okay. Click through. And all right, let's exit out of this one. Okay. Let's take a look at a worksheet. So listen to the conversation below and try to answer the questions. So again, a listening activity, so we're being multimodal. And then again, the differences between a worksheet and a quiz. Here we're getting the long scroll on a worksheet, all the questions, whereas a quiz is one question at a time. And then this data will be used to inform the instruction moving forward. We'll do a split worksheet. Okay, so reading the information and then answering the questions. And you'll notice here for this particular one, we get a drop-down menu. So this is one way that you could do true, false, where students can select true or false accordingly. And then they can type in, you know, if it's changing a false question, you know, they can type in the answer of, you know, to make it true again. And we'll do one more, the video quiz. So here we have this video. The students will watch the video, and then we get to the question points where they would be able to answer. Now, if you notice, I'm trying to click on the question here to get to those question points, but this teacher has ensured that students aren't able to skip the video and go right to the questions. They've enabled it where you have to watch the video in order to get to the question point. So good trick there if you want to make sure that your students are watching those videos that you've put in your video quiz. Okay. Portfolios are another student assessment. So this is a great way that you can also have your students share their understandings and reflect on the progress that they've made. So you can use portfolios and BookWidgets with the following widgets. So you can do, you know, a planner widget as a way to have it all organized where students are completing different activities. You can make this also kind of like a choice board where they're selecting what you want them to add to their portfolio. The web quest could also be used as a portfolio where you're asking them to show what they know and completing the different activities that you have linked with inside of BookWidgets and inside the widget that you create. Hotspot images here. So here we have a background image, and then the students can click on the links to show their understanding. And then when you pair these with, you know, the quiz, the worksheet, and the split worksheet, you know, this is a really powerful tool to be able to understand students' work and where they are. And peer assessments are also useful. And this is where students are assessed and they receive feedback from each other, not just the teacher. So submission of answers is still on to go to the teacher. That students are allowed to submit multiple times can be on. Students can edit their answers is also on, and allowing students to share their widgets is on. And using the rubric question can be really helpful. So let's look at a few examples. So here we have, for this particular one, students can type in their 3 tops and 2 tips, and then be able to submit it as well as download it and share it with their classmates. So if you're using a learning management system, you could have students be posting their widgets to their answered widgets to the class stream. Here you have this particular one, time for a peer assessment. They will, you know, fill in the chart down here, following the directions from the teacher, and then submitting it. So it's, again, another way that you can have them collaboratively work together. You have the checklist, and you also have the split worksheet too, to check out for peer assessments. Now, I wanted to show you live widgets. So for those of you that are with me right now, if you scan the QR code, and you can pick the worksheet or you can pick the exit ticket, but feel free to scan either one of these if you have a mobile device, a tablet or your smartphone. You can easily do this. And again, BookWidgets is able to be device agnostic. You can use it on smartphones, on tablets, and also on Chromebooks, computers, and even your smart panels. So big and little screens. So I'm going to give you a second to scan these codes. And then I'm going to pop over to live and take a look and see if anyone's actually doing any work today. Okay, so I'm just in my account. I'm going to come over here to live mode. So when you log into BookWidgets, you'll see live is over here on the side. And then we have, plot and literature. I see someone's doing it. And I can also see when was my last activity. So for those of you, I can pop in here. Oh, Marta, thank you, Javier. Thank you. So I can see less than a minute ago that both of you were working. And then I can see where you're at. So good job, Marta, answering the 2 questions. So I can see on a high level, like looking at it from the question side, who's doing what. But I'm going to click into Marta's. And Marta, I hope you don't mind me showing your answers here. But now I can see for Marta what questions she got correct or incorrect or hasn't answered yet. So I can see that she's still working potentially. Yep. Oh, look at that. Did you see it? Watch. Let's see if she'll do it again. And you can see where she's taking these ones up in red. I can see in real time that Marta is dragging and dropping each of these titles into their literary genre of fiction or nonfiction. Nice job, Marta. Bravo. And I can navigate, to different students to see what they're doing. Let's check out Javier. So I can see Javier also working as he's filling things out. So I can see that Javier is on question number 4 now and starting to do the drag and drop. That's pretty cool, right? To be able to see that. In real time, I can see what my students are doing. Let's go pop back over to live. Let's see if anyone's doing the exit ticket. Okay, so I can see, nope, no one chose to do the exit slip, but that's okay. Not a big deal. But that is fun. Now, just keep in mind, I do have to point this out to you, is that live mode and live widgets only works if you have delivered, shared the widget in a learning management system. So if you're using Google Classroom, Canvas, Moodle, etc., and you're linked in with the learning management system and you've shared your widget that way, you will be able to do live mode. If you're just sharing with a link, it's not possible. All right, let's pop back to the slides because we still have more to do and we only have so much time to do it in. All right, but thank you very much. Again, gold star to Javier and Marta for playing along. All right, let's take a look at summative evaluation. So this focuses on the final assessment, the grade. Now, this could be an exam, it could be a culminating project, but it is the end all be all. It is the summative of all the work that they have done learning. So you do still want to give feedback to the students, but there's not going to be as much opportunity for growth with a summative evaluation. Okay, so summative is pretty much, checkpoint, test, marking period, grade, whereas formative is that like process, you're forming their understanding. The sum, it's the totality of it for summative. And your summative evaluations will take the form of tests, exams, papers, projects, and homework actually technically is often a summative evaluation. It's just a small one. Now, when you're doing your tests, and I know this slide has a lot of information on it, and we did do a webinar on how you can set up BookWidgets for those exams. So I would highly check out that particular webinar because it will go into much more detail about customizing the settings for your exam. But a few things to point out here. Of course, allowing students to submit answers has to be on because you want to collect their data. You want to have it turned off that students can see what the answers are because you want to maintain the security of your exam and not allow them to share with their classmates. You can show score per question. You can also have exam mode on, which is a timer. You can also enable a startup password so that your students can't start the exam until you give them the password in the moment. The Safe Exam Browser is also a great tool to use to maintain that integrity of the test and that students don't try to jump off into other tabs. You can decide if you want to have strict answer order or not. You can also randomize your question order and create sections with text questions where the questions between text questions, those will be randomized. So it kind of creates a nice little pool. You can add an explanation to questions that are not automatically corrected and send feedback. So let's take a look at a few. So we have this particular one. And you can see that my timer has clicked down. So I have to submit. And that's the thing you have to understand with these is that if you enable exam mode in that timer and you get timed out, your students will have to, you have to do a little bit of a workaround to get back to them. But let's show you what that looks like in Incognito. So as soon as the student gets in, you can see that timer is ticking down. Oh my gosh, I only have 30 minutes to complete this. So I want to be focused as I'm completing my task. And then if you'll notice that the time, because that can cause a lot of stress to see that ticking clock, you can see that has disappeared and has been replaced by this circle icon. But if I want to check how much time do I have left, I can click on it and it will reveal. And also I can click on it and make it go away again. Okay. Let's take a look at a quiz. So you can see there goes my timer. And then I have my questions, drag and drop, and then would need to submit. What's again a quiz, I can only see one question at a time. But if I want to navigate to all the questions or to a specific one, I can do that. All right, let's go and take a look at some exams. So yeah, your tests are great for the end of unit, and a lot of those same options you could use for your exams. But for exams, it could be a final one or a midterm exam. You want to have that Safe Exam Browser, share it within the learning management so you can watch live what they're doing. Here we have the password is enabled. So if I'm the student and I don't know, I come into class and I want to get started right away, but I can have to wait until my teacher gives me the password. And then once I type the password in, now I can begin the assessment. So that's one way that you can protect your students who are a little eager to get going, that they have the same time. Okay. We have link here for blog post, Taking Secure Exams. So not only do we have the webinar, but we also have a blog post. So if you visit bookwidgets.com/blog, you can find the blog post, 5 steps to take safe digital exams with BookWidgets, and learn more. When it comes to papers and projects, this is also a good structure for helping your students to show what they know and culminate. So if we use the planner, here you can see that they have each step of the project is a different step of this particular planner. And when you click on it, it takes you to the different activities to complete. WebQuest is also the same in that you are organizing the material for students. You're having them complete different tasks. And then with the WebQuest, they are navigating through these tabs on the bottom to go access the materials and what you want them to do when. Okay. So making those longer projects available to them. Now, homework. Homework is a summative assessment. So you can have students complete BookWidgets activities at home as homework, or you can have them do it in class. So we have a few examples here, where they can learn and read, watch some material. Here they're learning about TikToks and can navigate through to complete the work that you want them to do. Okay, so you can do some bit of flipped learning. Now, what's nice about this too is, I don't in my classroom didn't like to give my students a lot of homework, but sometimes would need to do it. And if you notice up here, exam mode is actually enabled for them. That if you say to the students and trying to help them with their time management skills, that remind them okay, I don't want you to spend more than an hour on your homework tonight for this particular class. So I'm going to use the timer mode. Yeah, even though it's exam, I'm going to use the timer mode to ensure that you're not taking, more than an hour on this task. That's a fun widget. All the pretty graphics and such on it. All right. So let's take a look at some of the correction options. So in a quiz, worksheet, split worksheet, and video quiz widget, there are several options that you can change to help you evaluate your students. So we're going to take a look at a few of them. So when you're in a widget, you go to the General tab, and then you select Correction and Scoring options. So if you want to show whether answers are correct or incorrect when a quiz is done, that's one of the options. And we have some sample widgets that when you go and complete them, you can see, I'm just going to click through, answer these real fast. Okay, and then you can have them submit, show answers, even though I haven't answered all of them. Now I can see in real time what things I got correct or incorrect. And that is a useful option to have. Clear my answers out. You can also show answers when quiz is done. Submit and show answers with a password that, just as you can use a password to start a widget, you can also use it to reveal the answers to them. Showing correct answers immediately. When the quiz is done, you can also have them see the score if you choose. And you can also allow them to always edit or only, submit the widget, and then have some feedback with it too. Feedback is great that you can automate it in BookWidgets. So this is a great tool that you can give feedback in the moment. Again, I'm going to click through real fast. kind of just move things around and hit show answers. Yeah. And then feedback. Oh, here's this automated feedback message. I need some additional practicing and make sure that I spend a little bit more time on these activities. But this is a great way that you can have the feedback is determined based on scoring parameters that you've set. So if students score below a certain threshold, you can enable it for them to have some additional activities or words of encouragement. Okay, reporting dashboard. When you see this icon, the box with the check in it, this means that you can review the students' work within the BookWidgets reporting dashboard and give them feedback. So in BookWidgets, when you're in a widget, you would go to the Grades and Reporting tab, to My Courses, and then select the title of the work you want to review. Now, when you're doing grading in BookWidgets, and I showed you this a little bit in live mode, is that you can pick an approach. You can look at it by student. So if you notice, I went to Marta and then Javier to look at their whole answers. But then you could also navigate question by question. So seeing all of question 1, now all of question 2. You can also use filters to save yourself time to see the hide correct answers. You don't need to look at what students got right. You can just focus your attention on the material that they got incorrect when you're reviewing these things. You can also group identical answers. So if you want to add comments to the whole group at once, this will save you time. And then even order alphabetically. You can filter students by name, how you like, so that as you are reviewing them and even maybe cross-referencing to a learning management system, that you're able to see all that. When you're grading effectively in BookWidgets with that dashboard, again, adding comments and feedback, you can have a general comment on the top of an assignment. You can have that comment in your student's answer and even a comment below the question. And you can configure that feedback view for the complete group or individual students, so you can differentiate your feedback as well as your instruction, and then return that feedback to the students. So for the sake of today, we're going to skip the live demo because I did show it to you briefly before, but I do want to leave you with a number of handy links and resources. If you ever are running into any difficulties, you can always reach out to us at support@bookwidgets.com. Definitely visit our webinars page, as this was the last of our Wednesday webinar series for this spring, but you can see all of the recordings, and again, go check out that one on setting up secure digital exams. We have plenty of tutorials and our knowledge base with frequently asked questions, and would love for you to stay connected with us beyond our webinars by joining our Facebook community, our Teaching with BookWidgets group. We'd love to have you there. And don't forget about the BookWidgets blog. It is a goldmine of resources, information, and also that group inside of BookWidgets where you can access all of the widgets we have showcased for you. So we are so glad our roads have crossed for today's webinar. I thank you very much for joining us.